La Estación Experimental Agroindustrial Obispo Colombres llevó a cabo una reunión sobre HLB con la presencia de expertos de Estados Unidos, quienes disertaron acerca del impacto económico en la citricultura de Florida. Recordemos que hoy Florida tiene el 90% de las plantaciones cítricas infectadas. La producción cayó un 74% y los costos de producción aumentaron a un 250%. Realmente las cifras son alarmantes y hoy debemos tener en cuenta que trabajar en la prevención es fundamental para evitar que en Tucumán y en la región del NOA ingrese esta enfermedad que mata las plantas cítricas. Conozcamos entonces cuál es la situación de Estados Unidos.
Sometime between 1990
HLB was first determined to be in Florida in 2005 in South Florida near Miami. Initially, the decline in yield was small, but as the disease has progressed over time, we've lost a lot more fruit. Today, we're down 70+% from where we were at the peak of our yield back prior to HLB and in the early 2000s, late 1990s. When HLB was first found, we had a period of a year or so before growers fully understood the problem that HLB will pose to the citrus industry. Some growers were very active in establishing programs for scouting for HLB trees, removing those, and also scouting for the psyllid, be that the vector of the disease. Some growers were in denial and they never did a whole lot, and that led to HLB being spread throughout the industry and causing more problems over time. Well, in Florida, there are laws that make it impossible for me as one grower to go remove your tree on your property. There is no state mandated program that says if you have an HLB tree, you must remove it. If we did that today, we would remove the entire industry. Unfortunately, if we would have had a stronger program initially, or if we would have found HLB much earlier in the infection curve or cycle, maybe we could have instituted that. But when we first determined HLB was in Florida, we found it to be widespread over the whole east coast of Florida. Certainly the impact on a statewide level is significant. We're losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year due to HLB. Growers have less fruit, thereby they need less workers, thereby they need less equipment. And so it's not just the grower that's losing money due to HLB, but it's all the allied industries, the chemical sales, the fertilizer companies, the equipment dealers, the local stores that had people buying that no longer buy because they're not needed and they've moved to other areas. So it's not just the citrus grower that's being impacted, but it's the entire local communities in many of these areas that citrus is a major economy driver within those counties. Well, early on, we were removing trees, we were suppressing the psyllids, but we were not effective. Today, we no longer remove the trees because pretty much everybody has infected trees. We failed early on as an industry in effectively controlling HLB. Well, growers are spraying to reduce the psyllid population as much as possible. They're using organophosphates, they're using a whole host of pesticides to either kill the adult or either kill the nymph stage that's on the leaves. So we're putting out multiple applications of pesticides in an attempt to reduce the vector population, be that the psyllid, to as low a numbers as possible. Well, some growers are very efficient at controlling ACP, and some growers are inefficient in controlling. You will not control ACP under Florida conditions with 3 or 4 sprays a year. Many growers are spraying up to 12 times per year in an effort to suppress them as much as possible. In a few remote cases, people may be spraying even more than that, either 24 times or more per year, trying to control the psyllid. Within the United States, we're spending $25, $30, $40 million a year trying to research every angle possible to control the vector, to interrupt the vector's life cycle, to control the disease within the tree, trying to make a tree that is less susceptible, or in some cases could be tolerant to the disease. But those are all long-term projects, you know, and those things hopefully will bear fruit, so to speak, in the future and offer us long-term solutions.
Imidacloprid 6 times per year. You can use imidacloprid, clothianide, and oxide.
My advice is HLB is real. Don't underestimate the impact that it could have on your industry. It may be different in Tucumán than it is in Florida. It could be not as bad, but it could be worse. So do not underestimate the impact that HLB can have on your industry. And I probably should say when it gets here, because at some point in time it will be here. And you have to have effective programs to control it when it's first found, not develop programs 2 or 3 or 4 years after it gets here.
A nivel productor, lo primero que pasó fue que el rinde de los productores empezó a caer y la progresión de la enfermedad es engañosa porque empieza despacito, pero una vez que empieza a expandirse lo hace de manera exponencial. Entonces, una vez que comienza ese crecimiento exponencial es muy difícil pararlo, entonces es muy importante la prevención. Pero lo que pasó con respecto a la caída del rinde es que instintivamente los productores lo que hacen es aumentar los inputs que ponen en el campo. Y en ese sentido lo que creció increíblemente fue las pulverizaciones nutricionales para tratar de alguna forma hacer un bypass porque la enfermedad bloquea los vasos del árbol, entonces querían de alguna forma fertilizar la copa para hacer que la condición del árbol mejore. Muchos de esos químicos no entran al árbol porque no es porosa la hoja, entonces se caen al suelo. Y el efecto que tienen en la condición del árbol es muy poco. Entonces cae el rinde, sube el costo de producción, entonces el costo por caja aumenta muchísimo más que el costo por acre. Y al punto tal que hoy por hoy en promedio el productor no tiene ninguna rentabilidad, sino que tiene pérdida.
Hoy, y se puede decir la inversión que él hace en cuánto se incrementó desde que apareció el HLB con las mayores pulverizaciones y todo.
El costo de producción por acre subió de $900 a $1.900.
¿Y cómo subsiste hoy esta actividad en Florida, digamos? ¿Cómo sigue adelante?
Bueno, la industria cítrica en Florida está en jaque. Los productores hay algunos que están quebrando y no están más produciendo, las plantas procesadoras están cerrando, las empaquetadoras están cerrando, entonces una vez que la infraestructura se va es muy difícil traerla de vuelta. Entonces hay incertidumbre respecto del futuro de la industria cítrica en el estado de la Florida.